Hi, this is Robert from Lounge Audio. I'd like to go over some of the circuit design aspects of the LCR Mark III that are unique. So let's get started with the beginning of the sound of the LCR Mark III is due in large part to these rectifier diodes here and here. These are very fast diodes. They're also called soft recovery. That means they're very low noise and very efficient. They're also very overrated in current and voltage for what they have to deliver to the LCR Mark III circuit. They deliver their current to create the beginning of the DC to the reservoir capacitors here and here. These are Panasonic FM series units. They're very low impedance. The next thing that we're very proud of with the LCR Mark III and is very unique is we use Russian polystyrene capacitors. I have one in my hand here, and we also have two of them on the board here and here. I'm holding this in my hand because if it was on the board, you wouldn't be able to see much else of what's going on in the board. There's two of these placed over the op amps like this and like that. And these are very important for bass response, low end and mid-range depth, and also quite important for high frequency extension. But there's other aspects for high frequency we'll go over in a minute. Now the other Russian capacitors here and here are used for bass correction. They are correcting the bass for the other very unique part of the LCR Mark III, which is our inductors, which are here and here. These inductors, we have to buy a lot of them in big lots and measure them so we can match them to do stereo pairs. They take a while to match, and you have to leave them on the meter for a while until the inductance settles to its true value. And the other aspect of this, these inductors that helps them sound very good, are polypropylene capacitors here and here. And that is your main low frequency pole for the RIAA filtering that creates a phono preamp. The next aspect is the high frequency part, which is done with smaller value inductors here and here. These are also hand matched, and is very important. Tied to them are also polypropylene capacitors, this one and this one. These are in parallel, and the other two are over here. And these two in parallel give you a lot of high frequency, vivid, and good high frequency extension and great separation of sounds with vocal sounds and the reverb of the vocal sound in the recordings. Also, what is very important is our CADOC resistors. This is the first component that your cartridge sees when you send the signal from your turntable to the LCR Mark III. These are your cartridge loading resistors. These are CADOC bulk foil resistors. We have one here and we have one here. And then all these things gather around to go to the op amp. These op amps are very high-speed devices that are video bandwidth, and if they're powered right and given good signals, they maintain the front end extension of sounds, the high frequencies, and the leading edge extension of sounds such as snare drums, pop bass sounds, all those percussion sounds that have a lot of attack in them. These op amps are very fast, and they maintain that the integrity of those sounds. But what helps them maintain that, in the last part of this circuit that's very important, is our voltage regulation and our power supply shunt regulation. Basic voltage regulation is performed here by these components. These are discrete regulators that we build ourselves out of a transistor, which is what I'm pointing to, and other op amps. I'm sorry, and other resistors and components down on the board down here. And they send the DC power supply lines to the op amps. These are dual mono in that we have no shared regulators from channel to channel or from pin to pin of the op amp. And we have also shunt regulators. Here, there are these components here. There's other ones around them on the board, but these are all shunt regulators, and there's current sources. The shunt regulators are used to pull current from the regulator right to the pin of the op amp, so that you have a constant supply of current running right past the pin of the op amp. When the op amp needs to amplify, it has the current right there. And lastly but not least, we use the same component as a current source to bias the op-amp into Class A. So that means you get a very clean amplification. And that is about it with the LCR Mark III. Thanks for watching.